I didn't forget my lines. I just don't know if we're on live yet. Welcome, YouTubers and Facebookers, to the July 9th at the Home Spiritual Center. Hope you enjoy our service today. And to everyone else here, it's nice to see you pretty close to packed house. My opening prayer today, I took a little teeny bit from the Bible, Corinthians 13:13. And now these things remain: faith, hope, and love. But the greatest of these is love. So this morning's prayer is offered in the first tense, the I am. God, I come to you today asking for guidance and strength as I strive to love others unconditionally. Let me help let go of any judgments, expectations, and prejudices that will prevent me from truly loving others unconditionally. Grant me the courage to love those who are difficult to love and to see the good in others, even when they may not see it in themselves. Help me extend compassion to those whom I think may not deserve it, and to forgive those who have wronged me, or whom I even think have wronged me. Guide me to love others selflessly, without expecting anything in return. Help me to put the needs of others above my own, and to serve them with a loving and open heart. Thank you, God, for your endless love and grace, and I pray that I may learn to love others unconditionally as you do. Please grant me the wisdom and strength to let go of any resentment or anger I may be holding onto, and to approach both my spiritual family members here in HS Home Spiritual Center and in my home away from the Home Spiritual Center with an open heart and mind. Help me to see them with all their strengths and weaknesses and to love and accept them just as they are. In my love and light, with full compassion and forgiveness, amen. Now I'll turn the podium over to Reverend Madge.
Right. Thank you so much. All right. Appreciate that message. All right. So, talking about the land of milk and honey is my topic today, to introduce it to our audience. So, we just celebrated Independence Day. I don't know about in your neighborhood, but they're still celebrating it in my neighborhood. Our poor dogs. Oh, my goodness. Fortunately, one of them is nearly deaf, so he's not too bothered by them. But the others, I think, have had heart attacks. So, anyway, it has been quite a celebration. But in thinking about and asking Spirit about what message to share with you today, I kept seeing the amazing qualities about our country and the correlations of that with our personal journeys. And so let's see how this goes today. And just to clarify, I'm not going to get political. I'm not going to go down any rabbit holes. So keep it. I just want to be clear about that. So don't hold your breath. It's like, oh, where's she going with that? I mean, that's what I used to do to Jay. It would be like Jay would start going places, and I'd just hold my breath, like, oh my God, where's he going with that? And then he wouldn't go in a bad place. I'd go, okay, we're good for today. No, he would take it into a direction I just didn't expect, and oftentimes it was delightful. And yeah. So anyway, I was just reminded of that. It's like, oh dear, don't want you to have to hold your breath. So anyway, we do live in a great country. We do things. There are things in other countries that they do better, no doubt. But and sometimes we look at the way things are in other countries, think, dang, I wish we could do it that way. And there are specific things that could be, but nonetheless, we do live in a really good country. We have freedoms that many others don't have. We have freedom to be here together, gathered in a place like this, being in a, kind of a different mindset. We're out of the box, and we can feel safe in that environment of being out of the box and being here together and not worried about what's going to come at us. There are boatloads of people that came here to this country. all of our ancestors, in one way or another, came here. And many of them just came with a dream, and knowing that that dream had a possibility of coming true. That if they just, worked hard and kept their goal in place, they could reach that. They could reach that dream that they had inside. And that they and some of them came here because of religious freedom. They wanted to worship the way they wanted to worship. Some of my ancestors on both sides, that was their motivation, was the desire to worship as they wanted to feel right about what was right for them in their relationship with the divine. So I think about, what kind of a person is it that the early settlers were? What kind of a person would be standing on the shores in one of those faraway countries, using Europe as an example, that would hear stories of this new land, or this promised land, as in some ways it was called, and would look at that wooden sailboat and then look out over the ocean, not knowing with the horizon. I mean, there's nothing but water between you and whatever that dream is that you're holding on to. And think about, what you would go through in the weeks or months on that little wooden sailboat to get to this new land, and have the guts and the grit to say, yes, I'm going. I wouldn't have it. Today, I go to our coast and I look out over the ocean knowing that Hawaii and Japan is across the way. And it's like, yeah, I'm not going. Nope. I don't know how they did that, but that's. You would on a little wooden sailboat? You are courageous, my friend. I would think it took a little dash of crazy in there. And of course, as we know, historically, some of them were criminals that got put on the boats. I mean, that's a whole nother story about what happened. But the fact of what it took to say yes, and knowing and learning about the hardships, and not even sure that you would survive the trip. And they still said yes. They were rebels. Our ancestors are rebels. And we have that in our DNA. We have that in our line. And they weren't satisfied with status quo. They wanted more, which was one of Jay's driving forces. And he was always reaching for more, always wanting more, in the best kind of way. So I was thinking about this, and I related this to our own personal journeys. And we live our life in a particular state, or in a particular state of mind. And eventually, something sparks a great desire within us that says, I want something more. Where I'm at, what I'm doing isn't enough anymore. It was a while back, but today it's not. Now I want more. And our soul gets restless for a great exploration, and a great a purpose, expression of our purpose. And it becomes a driving force within us. And we hear stories of the freedom of spirit that we could have, and something within us wants that for ourselves. And we seek out opportunities, and we look for information. We start reading books. We start asking questions of people that have been there before us, or that have done things in the direction of where it is we want to go and what we want to do. And that desire just keeps burning within us, very much like the early settlers must have felt, for new horizons. And then, just like our forefathers and mothers, um, we're willing to take that leap from the familiar to the unknown, just like they did. We look over the landscape of our experiences, and we have no idea what to expect. We don't know where we're going with it. It's scary because we don't know it yet. It's brand new territory. It's a new land of promise within our soul. And we're not willing to settle for less. Our heart yearns for that, whatever that is. Even though it's unknown, we yearn for it. And we might fight that yearning. I'm good at that one. Fight that yearning and exploring our new territory. Like, oh, no, it doesn't make sense. Oh, I don't know, it's pretty risky. I don't know how my life would change. And so we might fight it in that way. But that desire for new heights, new experiences, won't let us go back to the place we were before we had the desire. We never quite fit back into that old place again. Once you get that desire and you start that momentum of a forward movement into the desire that's burning within your soul, you don't fit back there anymore. You try not to change anything, but it just works that way. And it's the same spirit America was founded on. That's the same spirit of our soul's expression it was founded on. I'm seeing these parallels. And so you really, truly are a rebel of the best kind of rebel. America is a country where so many are willing to take huge risks to come to. And they're willing to take the risk of death to be here. And you hear stories about what some of the things people go through to try to be here because they have a dream, they have a desire to be more, they want a better life. And if the tables were turned, we might be doing the same thing. You just never know. I even was watching a program, one of those singing contests where this young Irish boy finally got to come to America to sing, and he had the opportunity to participate in this contest. And he talked about that his dream, his childhood dream, has always been to come to America. And here he's a kid of good circumstances in his family and in his life. And even then, his dream was to come to America because he had heard so much about it. And it's just that longevity of wanting more and hearing the stories. It was quite amazing to me. It really set me back because I thought, well, you don't really want for anything. You have a great life. You have good parents. Why would you want to come to America? Because I take it for granted. I take what we have for granted and I don't even think about it. But we have so many souls that are waking up and remembering who they are. All of you have woke up and you're starting to remember who you are. You're starting to answer the call of the soul. And you're looking for something different. What you were raised in, or maybe the way you were raised doesn't fit anymore. It doesn't fit your soul's growth. And I think we're reaching that tipping point where there are so many souls that are awakening now that we can't go back. It's that tipping point. We don't get to hear about it in the news, but there is, on a collective level, I truly believe, this tipping point where there is not going to be any return back into the slumber that we have woken up from. Well, I went to Costco the other day, and as I got my basket and I was starting in the door, I just stopped for a minute because the energy of people going in and out was so familiar to me. And I just stopped and I watched, and it was just like being at the entrance of a beehive. It was so interesting to me because my former father-in-law raised bees, and to hear the buzzing, which was like the voices of the people going, and the clanging of the baskets, there was this hum that is so familiar to beehives. If you've ever been around one or stood at the entrance of one, it was fascinating. And I thought, oh my gosh, Costco is really like the beehive of honey. And you zip in and you're focused just like the worker bees, and you got your list and you got your big basket, and you got to get in and get past all the people. And and then there's this huge stacks of merchandise that are like combs of honey. And I thought, oh my gosh, this is like a beehive. It was fascinating. And I thought, only in America, oh my God, we have so much abundance. It's just almost nauseating. There's so much abundance. And just, anyway, I related that as well, watching the entrance of Costco and relating it to being in a beehive. But we are abundant. Everything seems to be overflowing in a sense, especially when you go into places like Costco. But there isn't anything we want for. I mean, we can want for it and we can figure out how to get it. You can order off of Amazon and have it delivered the next day. You can go into the store and there's more things than you can imagine of what you want. And then there's this thing that if there's that thing that they don't have right then, oh my God, they're out. It's terrible. They don't have vanilla or something or whatever it is that we're shopping for. And we're distraught over it. How abundant is that we can take it for granted, so much so that it just ruins our recipe if we can't go to the store and buy it right then. We take for granted the miracle of our commerce that we have. And, I've heard stories of immigrants that come from third world countries, and their experience of walking into one of our grocery stores, our supermarkets, for the first time. It's just is more than they can bear to see so much stuff, and anything and everything that they could imagine from around the world is right there available for them to have, and they've never seen anything like it before. And they, it's just overwhelming to them. And I've heard, story where they just stand there and cry at the availability and abundance of what we have here in our supermarkets. And we don't even think anything of it. We just walk in, gotta go do this. Let's see, it's on such and such aisle, done, out. And so if we would just take a few minutes of appreciation sometimes of what we really have available to us, and that, of course, as we know, generates more, that feeling, that spirit of appreciation brings it more into our reality. But that's the same thing on our spiritual journey. um, we have everything we want at our fingertips in our spirituality, everything we desire, that we can handle. But it comes to us as we are in alignment with it, as we are in alignment with our opportunities of spiritual experiences. And we can handle bigger and bigger opportunities as long as we continue to grow. Every day we grow in our capacity to handle those bigger and bigger opportunities. And every day, we can, if we are doing our work, we can do that. And Jay used to always teach to do the 10% rule, and it's a very valuable rule. And we continue to practice that to grow your soul, grow your life experience, grow your heart 10% above what you can handle. Because that way you're not overwhelming yourself like the immigrants that go into the store for the first time, where there's so much to choose from that they shut down. They have to shut down and leave because they can't handle it. Well, in our spiritual growth and development, if we were to just open up to all the possibilities of spirituality in one moment, it would put you in the nut house because you can't handle it yet. It doesn't mean you won't, but it means just yet you haven't grown to the capacity of being able to manage it. So 10% about above what you can handle means you're stretching, you're still growing, you're pushing yourself a little bit more, you're not staying in status quo, you're not stuck where you are, you're still growing, but you're not growing to the point of overwhelm and shutdown. So that's an important thing to remember. Everything is available that you dreamed of, no matter what, if you're in alignment, if your soul is in alignment with it energetically, vibrationally. And the good news is you can do that. You can do it. If it hasn't shown up yet, it just means you're not in alignment yet, but you can be. And when things seemingly go wrong and everything seems seemingly is out of whack, and we want to cry out to God and say, why does this keep happening to me? We have these repeated patterns over and over. It's not about out there, it's about in here. We have something that's in alignment to what keeps happening. So then we have the opportunity to go in and do self exploration. Why is it what is it energetically, in my belief systems, in my deeper recesses of my unconscious, that keeps creating this circumstance over and over again? And it takes the victim out of it, and it empowers us to come back into alignment with our soul and our soul's purpose, and to do that check in and to learn a little bit more wisdom. What wisdom am I missing that I keep recreating this, that I haven't picked up yet along the way? And these things are part of what we came here on earth to experience. It's what we came to do, it's what we came here to learn and to know. They call this the earth school for a reason, because we're always learning, always. So let's talk about independence for just a minute here. After all, this is what we're celebrating in America here this month or this week, in the land of milk and honey. Well, as I said, the early settlers came with a dream, a desire, a yearning. And however it is that they sought freedom and independence in the old ways, the past still came with them. And they recreated some of the very things they thought they were leaving, the very things they left the old country for, they recreated because they didn't know, they hadn't developed a new mindset yet. They knew they didn't want that, but then that's all they knew. So in some ways, they recreated it. And so the old story of the social structure and the government oversight came with them because they hadn't dreamed a new dream yet. And in many instances, they repeated what they, as I said, what they left behind. And how often do we in our personal lives bring with us our past that we left and we repeat it? It's like, 'cause that's all we know. So we just recreate from the place we know rather than launching into the unknown. So I'm reminded of Wayne Dyer when he was approached by a woman in the airport. She says, "You're living in the city where I'm moving to, and what is that city like? Because it's got to be better than where I came from." And he says, "Well, what was it like where you came from?" And she went into all these negative details about the place that she lived and how much she didn't like it. And he listened very patiently. And when she got all done, she said, "So what is this city like?" And he says, "It's just like the one you came from." Because he knew she would just bring it with her. And I thought, oh my gosh, that is so true. How often do we do that in our life? We'd be like, I can't do this anymore. I'm going to go. And then the next place we go to, it's through that honeymoon stage. It's really great. And then, well, not to our honeymooners back there. They just got back from honeymoon. Yeah. But the honeymoon of life, of a new experience, is great for a while. And then pretty soon we start creating the same thing over again. It's like, why does this keep happening? And so, anyway, I just love the Wayne Dyer story about, yeah, it's going to be just like that. That's what that city's like. So anyway, he understood that she hadn't launched into her new territory yet, and she was bringing all of her old beliefs along with her. But in the committee of five, which were the five people that were assigned to write our Declaration of Independence, they're called the Committee of Five, and they were writing it for the 13 colonies. They didn't know how to write a new story because they hadn't dreamed. They had an idea, but they didn't know what it was. They just knew they didn't want the old. So fortunately, they had the wisdom to seek it out, and they sought it out, the new story from the Iroquois Indians. They had the model of democracy. So they started attending their longhouse and to learn about how democracy worked. And that was the premise of them dreaming what we have today of, you know, freedom and all the, all of the things that are written into the Declaration of Independence. And it's a remarkable document. It's a remarkable piece that when I read it, it's like, how did they think up that stuff from a place of the unknown? They didn't know. They didn't want that old story. So I thought, man, that it's amazing that it came from, but the premise of it came from outside of their world into a different world, into the unknown of the Iroquois longhouse. So I love that they had the wisdom to seek it out in a different way, and that it came. When you read it, it's like the grace of God is walking along with these ideas of how it could be, and we've got to live by those rules. You can make up rules and then forget them. I do. Yeah, it's like, what did I say? Oh yeah, that was last week. Okay, but anyway, if you were to write your own Declaration of Independence from a spiritual point of view, what would you write? What would it contain? What would be your own spiritual Declaration of Independence? What would be your inspiration? What would you turn to get the inspiration for that, for as an independent soul? When you know that you can no longer do business as usual, and you have to resource the courage of your forefathers. It's in your DNA. It's in every one of our DNA to have that courage and that fortitude to withstand. So with a glad heart, we can kind of dream about what that would be, and let Spirit guide us. Let Spirit talk to us. Let the grace of God speak through us in what it is that is our own personal declaration of independence. So the courage is already in your DNA. It's already available to activate when you desire it. Your ancestors wrote some of those stories for you of courage and tenacity and grit and gut and launching out into a new way. And then you have your constant guardians of spirit to be along with you as well. So then you have your spiritual DNA as well. And they're guiding you and protecting you. They're setting up the circumstances for you to step into in your next moments of serendipity, of coincidences, of chance meetings. They're setting those up for you to step into because you're vibrating at the frequency that empowers them to help you in those ways. So as you come across those moments, in your heart, drop to your knees with deep appreciation and gratitude for all of the coordination that it takes for the spirit world to coordinate all of these amazing things for you. And then you can give back in amazing ways with other people in your service to humanity. So, and along your journey and expressing your soul's desire and your soul's expression that you came here to do and to be. So, with that, let's have our little meditation. If you close your eyes for a moment, take a nice deep breath. Just bring yourself present into your heart and feel the vastness of this world. Feel the courage of our ancestors and however it is they came here to be. And feel that grit that it took to be pioneers, that grit to be the best they could be, even in the face of slavery or in the face of witchcraft or in the face of whatever it is, those difficult times, or witch hunts, I meant to say, those difficult times that came with them. They had grit to survive. They had grit to keep moving forward. They had grit to fight for their soul. And we can still have that courage. We can feel that courage as we move into our tomorrows of the unknown. And we can do it with ease and grace, knowing that we're always supported. See your angels' wings around your shoulders as you're being guided and protected in these ways. Look down at your feet and watch the land form underneath your next steps. In each moment of your next steps, that land materializes in the most beautiful and graceful ways. And you can walk completely in faith into the creations of what you're creating for your tomorrows, allowing your dreams to come true. They may not look exactly like they do today, but you're dreaming the biggest dream you have right now. Even if the dream is bigger, it will grow with you. And it will change, it will morph, but it will always serve your highest and greatest good. Step into that faith, knowing you're protected, you're loved, and you can soar. You can soar with the angels, soar with your dreams, and we have the freedom to do so. The freedom of spirit, the freedom of democracy, the freedom in all of our ways that we have. It's freedom of soul, in our relationship with the divine. And we're so grateful. We so deeply appreciate this beautiful opportunity that each and every one of us have on this soul's journey. And so it is. All right. Thank you, guys. How you doing? Doing all right? All right. So I'm going to turn it back. Oh, do the offering. I don't have my thingy up here. I gave it away. I'm still soaring up there. I'm not grounded now. I got to get grounded back down. What's next? So now we're going to do our offering. Yes. Okay. So we'll put our offering between our hands. knowing that this is supporting our home center, and we're so grateful to receive it, so grateful for the support, keeps the lights on and all the things going that supports our wonderful community. And we see it being blessed and going through the universe of the flow of this beautiful universe, coming back to you energized and blessing you multiplied by 100 to give you all of your wants, needs, and desires that serve your highest and your greatest good. And so it is. All right, so Shelly's got the basket going around. And I'm going to turn it over to Dick to read his inspirational story and then give the closing prayer for our broadcast. And then I'll come up and share the announcements.
Got me? Okay. My closing statement was used last November, but it's a good one, so I'm going to use it again. It's from Remembering Who You Truly Are, God's Day 203, Forgiveness. You cannot see or touch a resentment, yet it will weigh heavily on you who carry it. It is really too heavy a load to carry, for it will rob you of your peace of mind. Resentment and non-forgiveness are contributing psychosomatic factors in the onset of heart trouble, arthritis, and liver problems. And conversely, forgiving yourself and others is a major healing agent to these health problems. Today, choose to release all such burdens. Through the power of forgiveness, free yourself today. In your quiet time, hold this prayer in your heart as you think of yourself and those that you may be bearing resentments towards. I now forgive myself and others. I bless and release them to God in peace. Now our closing prayer. God, I know that family, both biological and spiritual, is one of the most important things in my life. And I recognize that a strong and united family is built on a foundation of unconditional love. My family does not always have a bond of unity. That grieves my heart. Today, my fervent prayer is that each member will show unconditional love to one another and that we will unify as one. I pray for the ability to love each other unconditionally, to accept each other's differences, and to respect each other's choices. May we be patient with each other, and may we always seek to understand rather than judge. In God and Christ, love and light, I pray. Amen. And that's the end of our service on this Sunday. So to Facebook and YouTube, hope you stick around next week and stay again with us. Until then, Home Center out.